Do you feel anxiety about Big Pharma? I don't. I don't have no opinion on such things. But would it be any wonder if people did have anxiety about Big Pharma when Merck are charging 40 times the cost for a new anti-COVID drug? Let's think about it together. Let's come up with solutions collaboratively. Thanks all 4 million plus of you for joining us on this journey to truth that we're undertaking together and collaboratively. Wait till the end of this video. I've got some interesting things to tell you. And in fact, up until then, everything I'm going to tell you is interesting. Like, for example, David Sirota, writing in the Daily Poster, said Merck is planning to charge Americans 40 times its cost for a COVID drug whose development was subsidized by the American government. Let me stop you right there. Does that worry you? No matter what this drug is or what this drug is for, or whether it's effective or whether it's the best or worst or even a mediocre treatment to the condition in question, does it trouble you that you pay your government taxes, your government does some experiments to develop a drug, then a private firm makes the money from that? Now, you don't have to be a communist to find that objectionable. You don't even have to be a socialist. You just have to care about fairness. In a time of medical emergency, if it is your perspective that that's what's being encountered, then surely what is required is a collegiate sense of support and togetherness. Surely the rules of economic systems that lead to inequality have to be temporarily put aside. Oh no, they don't. This pandemic has also been the time of the biggest wealth transfer in history. The poorest people have got poorer and billionaires on average have got 50% richer. Do you think decisions of this nature are anything to do with it? The situation spotlights two sets of facts which have gone largely unmentioned in the legislative debate over whether to let Medicare negotiate for lower drug prices. Fact one, Americans are facing not merely expensive drugs, but prices that are examples of outright profiteering. I mean, I wonder when they're setting the price, should we charge twice as much as it cost us? That's 100% profit. How about 3 times as much? Whoa, 150%, that's 300% profit. I got an idea. Oh, come on, what's your idea? 40 times as much. All right, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that's outrageous, that's profiteering, that's racketeering, that's borderline socially irresponsible and psychopathic. But then I remembered it's my job to run this place. Therefore, you're promoted. Fact two, in many cases, the medicines we're being gouged on are those that we, the public, already paid for. These facts show us that pharma bankroll Democrats, you can check those statistics, we'll be doing a video on that elsewhere, trying to kill drug pricing measures aren't just bought and paid for in this particular skirmish, they are foot soldiers in the pharmaceutical industry's larger multi-decade campaign to seal off and rig America's alleged free market. This seems to be how big business ultimately behaves. First, it's ingenious. Second, it's competitive. Third, it's thriving. Fourth, annihilate all competition. In a sense, I've told you this before and I'll tell you again, look at my podcast with Anwar Shaikh, expert on capitalism, on my podcast Under the Skin, available from Luminary. He'll tell you that this isn't like an anomaly. This is what this economic system is designed to do. Don't be surprised if your flesh-eating killer robot eats your flesh and kills you. You can't call up and ask for a refund. Well, what did it do? Well, it ate my flesh and it killed me. Well, not me, it's my son in there. Mind you, I'm glad to see the back of him. First, there's the price point on drugs. It's not merely that Americans are paying the world's highest prices for pharmaceuticals, it's that in many cases, we are paying prices that aren't even close to what consumers in other countries pay. Well, that's terrible. You're getting ripped off over there in America. It's not right. A new public citizen analysis shows that the 20 top-selling medicines generated almost twice as much pharmaceutical industry revenue in the United States as in every other country combined. Sure, as compared to others, Americans may buy a lot of prescription drugs, which, by the way, in itself is cause for concern, isn't it? But this study reflects something much bigger at play. Pharma sculpted public policies that allow drug price levels to go beyond profits and into profiteering. I'm minded of British colonialism when the East India Tea Company went over to India, started getting loads of tea, and then the folk that lived there were like, hold on a minute, this is our tea. And then the British government came over and went, we'll back you, East India Company. In fact, well, we might as well take over all of India. The rest is literally history. But now this kind of colonization takes place on native indigenous populations. The population of America are being colonized by the corporations that the government is there to support, that they're in cahoots with those very corporations. When who are they meant to be for? Who do they ask to vote for them? It's you, isn't it? Oh, wow, that's so weird. That term profiteering is important here because drug makers aren't losing lots of money in other countries where they sell medicines at lower prices. Let's remember, pharmaceutical companies aren't altruistic charities that offer their products abroad at a loss. On the contrary, they are still making healthy profits at lower world market prices. Isn't that a complicated aspect of the current times when you know that certain pharmaceutical companies are absolutely integral to the rollout of particular medical programs, have in their very recent history, for example, with the opioid crisis, behaved in a way that, and according to already published judicial payouts and settlements, behaved in a criminal way? I find that very, very challenging, and to the point of the title of this video, is it any wonder that we have difficulty trusting pharmaceutical companies? I'm not saying it's right to trust them or right not to trust them. I have no opinion on that matter. Your opinion is for you. My opinion is for me. Free trade in the area of communication, absolutely vital. It's concerning, though, when you recognize that the primary function of an organization is to generate profit, that will necessarily, if it is at odds with ethics or even sometimes veracity, trump. And there's a word you love. For all the pharmaceutical industry's self-congratulatory rhetoric about its own innovations, the federal government uses your tax dollars to fund a lot of that innovation, research and development. A study from the National Academy of Sciences tells the story. The federal government spent $100 billion to subsidize the research on every single one of the 200 plus drugs approved for sale in the United States between 2010 and 2016. In business terms, the public is the early venture investor in these products, and we deserve a share of the returns when these products prove valuable. However, in the mid-90s, that business axiom was tossed out when drug lobbyists convinced the Clinton administration to repeal rules that allowed federal officials to require government subsidized drugs to be offered to Americans at a reasonable price. What kind of president would throw out that helpful bit of administration? Oh, we don't look at this thing here. Oh, this archaic, useless bit of legislation. You see what it says here? This is risible. This belongs to a bygone age. Come on, what is it? Well, it says that if the government funded the research to a drug, and the government's funds, of course, come from you. They don't have their own funds. They've not got a lemonade stand out back. Their money's your money, right? Well, if they use that money to develop a drug, it says that like the pharmaceutical companies that then take on that drug and sell it to the public have to sell it at a responsible price. Especially, look, reasonable price. How dare you? How dare you ask for something at a reasonable price? What can I get it at? You can have it at an unreasonable price. A few years later, Congress, with then Senator Joe Biden's help, oh cool, voted down legislation to reinstate these rules. We'd like to reinstate that rule about the reasonable price. I don't think we should do it. And later, the Obama administration rejected House Democrats' request that federal officials at least provide guidelines to government agencies about how they can exercise their remaining powers to combat drug price gouging. Could we at least have some guidelines? No guidelines. Work it out for yourself. The result? We now routinely face immoral situations like last week's news that pharmaceutical giant Merck is planning to charge Americans, you're going to love this, $712 for a COVID drug that cost $17.74 to produce and whose development was subsidized by the American government. I mean, that's beyond ridicule. Right, you know that drug cost $17? Yeah, I remember when we gave you the $17. Could we buy some? Yeah. How much is it? About $17? Shade over that because you've made the packets and everything. I suppose you've gone to a lot of trouble, adverts with those bits under the bottom, all the disclaimers. Yeah, it's actually those bits where it goes, may cause rashes. That has cranked up the price a little bit. Oh, how much? It's $700 now. Is that a joke? No, that's the price. That's just the latest example of the absurd paradigm. We take the risk of investing early in the product because, again, how this economic system works. Oh, there's risk involved there. Can we mitigate risk? Mitigation of risk, that's an economic principle of the system that we live within, that we're all participants in, that none of us are free from. We're all in it. I recognise the platforms that I'm on. I recognise that we all have to make money. All of that, I recognise. But the elimination of risk is you're getting the risk, they're getting the profit. That's mental. We take the risk of investing early in the product, but instead of that investment reaping us something valuable like affordable prices, we are rewarded with price gouging by the drug makers that bankroll the lawmakers who've rigged the rules and aim to keep them rigged. That's not a free market. No, it isn't, is it? A free market would be, well, we had to take this risk, so don't we deserve the profit? Yeah, but the profit's outrageous. Come on, pay some tax on it, build some hospitals and stuff like that. You know, at least it's a sort of a negotiation around something that sounds like something that's happening on this planet, not some evil planet with people with just one eye in the middle of their foreheads and like big sharp jagged teeth that want to eat your babies. This is not a free market, it's top-down command economy, perfectly calibrated for price gouging, and the pharmaceutical industry and its puppet politicians want to keep it that way. Well, there you go. That sounds like old David Sirota has hit the nail on the bonce. Polls show that the idea of allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices is popular to the point where swing state Republicans and swing district Democrats and even former President Donald Trump have expressed support for it. Big Pharma appears to have zeroed in on Senator Kristen Sinema, Democrat from Arizona, as one of their lead obstructionists to help kill or gut the plan. In the 2020 election cycle, pharmaceutical political action committees suddenly funneled more money to her than they did in the whole 6 years she served in the US House. Right, let's give Kristen Sinema a lot of money. I like her name. I like everything about Arizona. Funnel money, funnel money, funnel money. Do you expect anything back from her? No. I just want to see a lot of money funneled at her. The one-time progressive activist Sinema campaigned on lowering drug prices, and she was still calling on Congress to address rising drug costs as recently as last year, but reportedly told Biden she opposes the party's proposal. Kurt Schrader, Scott Peters and Kathleen Rice used their seats to try and block it over the course of their careers. Peters and Schrader have raised a combined $1.5 million from donors in the pharmaceutical and health product industries. Peters and Schrader defended their personal ties with the pharmaceutical industry. Schrader reportedly received a quite large inheritance from his grandfather, who was a... Oh, well, weirdly, and this is just a coincidence and these things happen in life and I don't want you to be cynical about this, he was an executive at Pfizer, but don't let that bias you and make you cynical about this life. He said he's proud of the work my grandfather did developing mass production for Pfizer. I bet you are, mate. Peter's wife is the CEO of an investment firm whose portfolio company provides manufacturing and packaging for pharmaceutical companies. He said it's ridiculous to believe he has a conflict of interest. Hey, you've got a conflict of interest. That is ridiculous. How you can sit here in my mansion, paid for by Pfizer, and accuse me of loving Pfizer. Get out. Get out of my man. Never, ever cross my Pfizer-sponsored door and doormat and beautiful porch area again. God, ridiculous. Okay, where's that dog of mine? Pfizer, and where are the cats? Johnson, Johnson! Well, there you have it. I've got no opinion. I just believe in freedom. I believe in your freedom. I believe in my freedom. I believe in all sorts of freedom, and I'm certainly not an expert on medical matters, and I'm certainly not a prominent voice for any perspective. I want people to be free. I want you to think clearly and freely. Many things in that story actually made me laugh out loud at the levels of corruption. So anyway, hit me with your comments. Tell me what you believe. Is it possible for us to transcend these old bipartisan rifts that we've been wallowing in for the past 20 or 30 or perhaps longer years or so? And please sign up to my mailing list. One click away, direct contact between me and you. If you like this video, have a look at this cheeky little guy. Look at him. Look at that sod. And if you need to meditate now, and I do, you should have a look at this and have a little meditate. Stay optimistic. Stay open-minded. I love you. Bye-bye.